The Pittsburgh Penguins make a shocking decision today, which has a lot of fans fired up and foreshadows some major changes that are coming this offseason. We're going to break it all down for you guys coming up on this episode of Hat-Trick HQ. Before we get into today's video, we got to say we're 70 subscribers away from our goal of 14,000 subscribers on the channel. So if you're not subscribed already, you want to stay up on the latest news around the NHL during the playoffs and heading into a busy offseason, make sure down below and hit that subscribe button. But like I said, we got a lot to talk about today with the Penguins making a very shocking decision. I know a lot of you Pens fans already know what I'm talking about, and that is the Penguins and head coach Mike Sullivan parting ways from Frank Seravalli from the team. We have multiple reports on this. It is official at this point. This after back-to-back Stanley Cup wins and nearly a full decade as the Pens head coach Mike Sullivan announced that the team and him agreed to part ways today. Sullivan was NHL's second longest tenured coach, hired on December 12th, 2015. So he's coming up 10 years, literally, as head coach, and it's great. His time in Pittsburgh has been great. There's no doubt about that. This guy has been such a great coach for this team. I mean, winning back-to-back Stanley Cups, being the coach in the Crosby Malkin era for this team, and has really coached them to a lot of great success. I mean, if we just take a look at his record, what they said today, I mean, he's got 409 wins with the Penguins, which I do believe that is the most wins with a single franchise as a head coach, which obviously when you have probably one of the best players in the world during the last 20 years in Sidney Crosby on your team, you are going to win a lot of games. But it all comes down to how he shaped this system into how they can win with Sidney Crosby, and he's done a great job at that, and there's no doubt about it. I've seen a lot of initial reaction online from Penguins fans. A lot of them say this was a shock, nobody expected it. A lot of them are saying maybe it's 2 or 3 years too late, you know, with everything that's gone on with them bringing in Kyle Dubas a few years ago and bringing in a lot of veteran guys and haven't been able to find much success. You can't really blame that on Mike Sullivan. You know, it does happen to teams. You know, it does happen to franchises. We've seen it in Chicago when they had their run with Taves and Kane and all these guys, and then that ultimately blew up. So this is what's kind of happening in Pittsburgh over these last couple of years. But I believe he does have an all-time record of like 445 wins and like 230-something losses. So he has a great record as a head coach. There's no doubt about that. And 2 Stanley Cups, leading this team to, you know, the playoffs a bunch of times where they've lost in the second round. But he has got this team through the regular season. He's got them to the Stanley Cup final, and he's got them to win the Stanley Cup. So great time for Mike Sullivan in Pittsburgh. I'm sure he's upset to be leaving Pittsburgh, but I don't believe he will be jobless for very long. There's going to be a lot of teams looking for a head coach right now, and he is one of the best coaches of this past era, so I don't think he will be jobless for long. I'd say there's going to be a lot of teams calling him very soon, maybe this week, to try to get him on their side. I mean, there's a lot of teams looking. I believe Boston is looking for a coach right now. The Rangers, I believe, too, are looking for a coach. So he'll find a new home, but it is going to be sad to see him not be on the bench of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Such a great coach over these last 10 years, and it's just great to see him, you know, move on and hopefully get a fresh start with another team. But that leaves the question to Penguins fans: who is going to come in and replace this guy and get these guys through the next couple of years? And, you know, obviously Sidney Crosby coming to the end of his contract now. And is he resigning? Is he retiring? Nobody really knows. But we'll have to see what happens coming up this offseason with him. But there's a lot of good coaches available for the Pittsburgh Penguins to choose from right now. And one of those coaches I just mentioned is from a team that is looking for a coach, and that is Pierre-Olivier. I mean, we've seen him recently with the New York Rangers, where I think the Rangers had a pretty good season. I mean, it wasn't the best. They didn't make the playoffs, but he still led them to like an 85-point season or whatever. And if they got a couple bounces their own way and a couple games went their own way, they probably could have ended up in the playoffs this year. And it was kind of a shock to see him let go, and when that did happen, but this leaves an option now for Kyle Dubas and the Pittsburgh Penguins to bring him in. He is a very established coach. He is a coach that is more attack-oriented, so he's going to be able to come in, make this power play better, make the just a whole attack structure better. He's a coach that does keep his players on a short leash, so if you do make this bad decision in a game, you do make bad plays, he's going to hold you accountable. He's going to bench you if he sees fit. That's just the type of coach he is. He's a little bit hard-nosed, but he's a lot more attack-oriented, where the offense is going to get a big boost with him behind the bench. And if we just take a look at his coaching career, you can pause the video, read through it all if you do want, but he is an above 500 in his career coach in win-loss percentage, which is great. He's winning half of his games, and obviously he won the Stanley Cup with the Carolina Hurricanes way back, I believe, what was it, 05, 06 season, I believe it was, when he did. But an interesting thing to look at here, he has finished a lot of seasons between the first and the third position in his division, so it's great to see that. I think this is a guy who could come in and immediately impact this Pittsburgh Penguins team. I think with the roster that they do have and some changes coming up that maybe we're going to talk about in a bit, I think that he could come in, instantly inject some life into this offense. And that's the thing that Pittsburgh did struggle with last season, was, getting those goals when it mattered and being able to convert on the power play and stuff like this. With all the talent that they do have there, it is definitely possible for this team to be in the playoffs. There's no doubt, especially if Crosby does come back this season. So I think Laviolette is the number one option for me. I think that he is the one that could come in, bring some life into this team, and just kind of get them, after this little retool that we're going to see them go through this offseason, give them a bit of life and get them back up there in the rankings in the Metro Division. So I like this guy. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you think a more attack-oriented guy coming in helps this team? Let me know down below in the comment section. But there is one that I have to mention here, and I know a lot of you guys probably, by my laugh, are guessing who that is, and that is John Tortorella. Obviously, recently being with the Philadelphia Flyers, didn't end up so good for him, obviously, being let go because, Tortorella's not a rebuilding young guys coach. He's more of that veteran, hard-nosed. He's not afraid to speak his mind, which maybe could help out in Pittsburgh. On the flip side of Laviolette, this guy is more of a defensive-minded coach where he wants the defenseman to die for the team, blocking shots. He's more able to develop a structure in that defensive zone where, their penalty killing unit is going to be better, where their 5-on-5 whole team defense is going to be better, and that obviously leads to a lot of counter-attacking chances with a John Tortorella team, where if you're good defensively, there's going to be a guy breaking out that you're going to get hit up through the ice. That's what we've seen with Tortorella teams in the past, and I know seeing Tortorella's name is probably one that Pens fans are maybe weary of because of just the reputation he has, but as a reputation as a head coach, he has been a very solid head coach throughout his coaching career. We've seen him have success in the past. We've seen him win the Stanley Cup as well. I believe it was with the Tampa Bay Lightning. It was back in the day, so he is a Stanley Cup winning coach. He hasn't won one in a while, but he is a guy who is a great option here. I think a second option. I think Laviolette is the guy you go after right away. I think he is a guy that's really going to help this team out. I could see Tortorella maybe going to Boston as well, but I do think that he would help this team out. It all depends on what Dubas and the higher-ups in the Penguins do see here. Do they want to bring in a guy that's more offense-oriented? Do they want to bring in a guy that's more defensive-oriented? disoriented, and they're going to have to play it by ear at that. If they want attack, they're going to go Laviolette. If they want defense, they're going to go Tortorella. But the thing is, with Tortorella, there's obviously the whole media aspect around him as well, whether he's going to speak his mind and stuff like this. So I think it is a good option. I think Tortorella is a great coach, and I think he does have a bad name for himself around the league. But if he comes into the Penguins organization, I'm sure a lot of Penguins fans would love to see him there. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. What coach do you think the Penguins are going to bring in? My number one is Laviolette. Want to hear your guys' thoughts on that down below. But before we wrap up the video, we did get a quote from Kyle Dubas on this situation where he kind of revealed, something is in the works for this offseason. He said this was not a decision that was taken lightly, but as we continue to navigate the Penguins through this transitional period, we felt it was the best course forward for all involved. And this was obviously Kyle Dubas talking about Mike Sullivan in their press release that they did release after they did part ways with the head coach here. And I think this is a very interesting very interesting quote, because Kyle Dubas here basically saying that, this is a transitional period, maybe alluding to that this is a little retool period that they're going to have to go through this offseason. So I think they're looking at making some changes here. We've seen that with bringing in a younger guy like Rutger McGroarty earlier this season. So it's looking like this team's maybe trying to get a little bit younger at this point, I would definitely say. But there's a lot of big UFAs coming up this offseason. Maybe they're trying to unload a few big contracts that they do have and trade out a few of their veteran guys to bring in maybe some 25, 26-year-old guys that have a little bit of snarl and are trying to get going here in their careers and trying to make a name for themselves. And they have the money to do it this offseason. And as of right now, they're projected to have $23 million. But that is without Sidney Crosby's cap. So if he does come back, I do think he takes a discount. I don't think he comes back at a big cap hit or anything like that. But I think maybe we see him on a 2-year deal, maybe 1-year deal type scenario, whatever he's feeling. If he what kind of contract he's wanting. I don't expect him to see a long-term deal. I mean, he said the kid is not the kid anymore. He's getting a little bit older. So maybe 3-year deal for Sid, whatever he's feeling. But you are going to have to take that money into account when you're looking at the projected cap space here. So I would say they have around maybe $15 million to work with here. So they are going to have to sign some role players and stuff like this. But there are a lot of good UFAs available if they want to go out and spend the money. I mean, obviously the big one being Mitch Marner from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nobody really knows what's going on with him right now. He's having one heck of a playoffs, and he's going to be looking for a lot of money that I don't think the Pittsburgh Penguins will have. But if Dubas likes Marner, we obviously know he's the former GM of the Leafs. Maybe they make something work here to get this guy into this team. I think that would be interesting to replace kind of the kid with a new kid in Marner. So I think that would be an interesting way to go about things here in Pittsburgh. I would love to see that happen, actually. But there's a guy here on this list that just screams Pittsburgh Penguins for me, and that is Mikael Granlund. Obviously, starting the season with the Sharks, then getting traded with the Dallas Stars, now playing in the playoffs with them. I think Mikael Granlund really screams Pittsburgh Penguins for me. I know he is a bit older. He's 33, but if this team wants to have one last shot at getting a cup with Sidney Crosby and Evgeni Malkin and these guys, I think Mikael Granlund is the guy to go after here. He's a guy who's going to immediately inject some offense into their top six, and I think he can really make a big change for this team and really just add some much-needed playmaking to maybe that second line. I really do like this signing. I really think this is the one they should go after, but it all depends on where Dubas is at. Do they want to get younger? Do they want to just try to load up here and try to have one more last go at it with Sidney Crosby? So it's going to be interesting to see what does happen here in Pittsburgh. Obviously, new changes coming to the coaching staff, which is going to shake this team up as well. But obviously, Dubas leading, foreshadowing some changes that are going to come on the player side of things as well. So going to be an interesting time to be a Pens fan, and hopefully we can see some changes here where they can get back in the playoffs next season. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on everything we talked about today. And if you want to catch up on some more Penguins news, we have Penguins Digest here under the Digest Media umbrella. It'll be linked down below if you guys want to check that channel out as well. But as always, I've been your host, KC. Keep your stick on the ice.